Let's talk about something important that not a lot of people want to talk about, but it's kind of the elephant in the room. Wipe all that away! Let's talk about a very important topic, but we're not gonna get too serious. So we're gonna be talking about dating in the Philippines today. And I was talking to one of my expat friends not too long ago, and I realized that there are a lot of things that are sort of implied, not explicitly stated, and of course just general good tips to know if you're going to be a single expat here in the Philippines, or just dating in general. So yes, there may be stuff in this video for locals as well. So let's get one thing out right off the bat. Grown adults in relationships have sex. It's just a fact of life. So let's not treat it like it's a giant fart joke or anything. That shit is serious. So I know a lot of people are not really going to want to hear this, however, there is a very identifiable sort of class system here in the Philippines, and it sort of separates people among cultural lines. So people who are brought up of means are going to be very well versed in sort of Western culture, especially in things going on in America, whereas people who were not brought up with those means, they may not be as culturally similar as yourself. So the first thing that we need to talk about is the language barrier. It's not going to be as big as you think in most cases. There are two main languages, especially here on the main island, that you're going to run into. The first is going to be Tagalog, and the second is English. And English is spoken or understood by pretty much everybody you're going to run into. Of course, there are different levels of fluency, and as you get away from the main island, you do get into other languages, and even regional dialects and languages that are spoken in certain places. But let's kind of simplify this down to the main two. As far as your dateable population, it's going to come down to a couple of factors. First, commonality, and second, language. Of course, you can date someone who speaks a different language than you. However, it's going to be a lot rougher. Sharing a common language is very important, as are common experiences. Because the Philippines is a very westernized Eastern country, you will find that you're probably going to have a lot in common with a lot of the girls, or guys, here. This may include some of your favorite bands, favorite movies, etc. To be fair, I do know some people back home who have trouble understanding people who speak English with even the slightest of accents. I would say that people like this may have a little bit of a tough time. You would be surprised how well-versed some people here can be in topics that you wouldn't expect, such as US politics, or even very obscure movies or references that you wouldn't have expected. With all that being said, gauging your own comfort level is kind of important, and figuring out what is important to you in the person that you're dating. Are you looking for someone who potentially went to an international school and who has a lot in common with you, but might maybe be a little bit snobby? Or are you looking for someone who's super humble and maybe doesn't speak the best of English? Or maybe someone in between? It's entirely up to you, and no, try not to lambast me in the comment section down below if you went to an international school or something like that. I'm just saying that it's important for someone who comes here and who plans on dating to understand what it is that's important to them. So this is the part of the video where I have to acknowledge that some guys have told stories when they went back to the States or to Britain or whatever about their Filipino wives taking advantage of them and all these horror stories. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes that happens. However, the vast majority of the time, that's not the case. In all my dating encounters that I've had here in the Philippines, they've been mostly positive. And the few negative experiences that I've had absolutely nothing to do with dating a Filipina, and it just had everything to do with dating another human being. One piece of advice that I have to expats is to look at how your potential mate behaves on social media. Are they the kind of person who subtweets and who's always talking smack about somebody? Or are they the kind of person who's a good digital citizen? Another thing that you may hear out there is the fact that when you date a girl, you date the barangay, which basically means that it's not just about the girl. You pretty much have to date the whole family. And this can seem like a very scary prospect. Oh, believe me, it scared me. Though this is true for some girls, some families, I've dated some girls for a couple of months before I even met their family. Then again, now that I think about it, maybe they were just really embarrassed that they were dating a white guy. However, I've also had it on the other side where I was expected or anticipated to do things for the family, help out, you know, lift things, carry the groceries in, things like that. And it's pretty much exactly what I would have done for any girl's family I was dating in the States. So don't worry, you probably are not gonna have to go full carpenter mode and like build them a house or anything like that. One thing that I've noticed since I've been here is that some girls don't mind going Dutch, but I'm pretty sure that that has a lot to do with the girl, her upbringing, and financial situation. Of course, personally, I'm the guy pays for the first date, or maybe even, you know, subsequent dates as well, depending on the circumstances. So that's the kind of guy I am. You may have heard that there's a huge emphasis on family here in the Philippines. Taking care of family, paying for family's schooling and things like that. And that is true, and it's something that I've run into. Sometimes the people that I'm dating, they will, you know, have to put away money for their brothers or sisters' schooling, or they have to, you know, send money back home to their parents or whatever. But it's not anything that's ever really affected any relationship that I've been in. I've also never been asked straight up for money or financial assistance, but to be honest, if I would have been asked in most of my relationships, that would have been a huge red flag. Though I've never had a really bad experience when it comes to being asked for money or support or anything like that, it is something that a smart person would at least look out for and listen out for, because it's really easy to get blinded by what you think is love, or potentially even what is love at the time. So we're talking about all these potential mates. How do you find them? Well, my greatest success has actually been Tinder. Tinder is one of those things that it's huge here, and you're gonna need a little bit of help navigating it as well. Tinder is full of a lot of awesome potential matches. However, there are a few landmines that you might have a personal issue with. First, you've got girls who are on there who do mean you harm. These are usually girls with really weird, unreasonable requests, like asking to come over to your house and bring their sister for the night, or just asking if they can sleep in your air conditioning. I have absolutely no proof other than anecdotal experiences from other people, but these are also usually the ones who try to get you in trouble, or potentially they're just looking for a sugar daddy. And no, I don't mean the candy bar. Another thing, depending on your preferences, that you may want to keep an eye out for is the high prevalence of ladyboys. That's what they call themselves here on Tinder. I've noticed that some people do put that they are a ladyboy or transgender on their Tinder profile. There are also business people on Tinder as well, and these you want to watch out for, because, well, let's just say that white guys here in the Philippines already have a bad enough name without you going and buying that. Be wary of anybody who moves way too fast and or wants to meet you at a seedy motel, because likely they're gonna want you to buy services from them. One thing that really weirded me out at first was conversations leaving Tinder as quickly as they do. However, it makes a lot of sense if you put it through the right filter. Mobile internet data here is kind of expensive. So a lot of times they will ask that you move your conversation to Viber or WhatsApp or some other sort of chat program that they can access a little bit more easily on Wi-Fi, or sometimes get a free promo for their mobile carrier. So if a girl asks you to move to another chat program, it's kind of normal. So it really shouldn't be a red flag of any kind of, you know, evil doing. Also, don't be weirded out when you run into your friends on other people's Tinder profiles. Let me explain. My friend and roommate, Steph, has Tinder profiles all over the place. Mainly because people keep walking up to him and asking him for pictures, which they put on their Tinder profiles. Though I can only guess, I think maybe this has something to do with showing that you have a white friend, maybe? So remember at the start of this video when I said that we were gonna end up talking about sex? Yeah, this is that part. So for this part, I'm gonna assume that you're a guy. Depending on what you're working with, you may need to make some preparations before you come over. My friends and I have talked about this. You may want to stock up on your preferred brand of prophylactics, especially if you're this kind of guy. Just remember that it's as much your responsibility as it is the other person's in order to make sure that everyone is making informed decisions. Filipinos and Filipinas don't really like talking about sex. Well, that's not entirely true. In the right context, the right people can have really good discussions about what's going on. However, there is sort of this cultural, like, let's not talk about it type thing, leading some parents to believe that their children who are in their late 20s and early 30s are still virgins, even though they have every reason to believe otherwise. This also contributes to the popularity of certain chains of no-tell motels. At the end of the day, all I can really say is make sure that you talk to the person that you're dating and find out what they're comfortable telling their friends and family. Be prepared to have more conversations about money than you have ever had in your life. This can sometimes be about ways to save as little as 10 peso on something, to as much as trying to convince you not to make other major purchases. Try not to let this get you down, because remember, the person you're talking to, their heart is in the right place. They're trying to do what's best for you. However, their lens of that is coming from a place of their own experience. If you're dating someone from here right after Halloween, there's a holiday called All Souls Day, and you may be unfamiliar with what goes on. And I know I'm being very reductionist, and I'm not entirely being fair, but in the sake of time, I'm going to describe it as sort of spending time with your departed loved ones in order to respect their memories and whatnot. And if I'm being even more reductionist, it's kind of like having a picnic at a cemetery. Don't be weirded out if you're invited to this. It's actually kind of an honor. It means that they're trying to see you as part of the family. Be prepared for big families, and be prepared for big families all being in the same dwelling. It's not uncommon for someone to live with their parents here in the Philippines into their 30s. Or depending on the family, even when they're already married. Which also means that her place is probably not a great location for Netflix and chill. I wish that I could give you more information about potentially taking your girlfriend or bride back to whatever country it is you hail from. However, I've never really done this, and I don't really have any experience in it, so anything I tell you would just be sort of based on information that I myself have Googled. What I can tell you is that here in the Philippines, there is a huge dateable population who speaks very good English, who have huge, wonderful hearts, who make really good sandwiches, and who absolutely have it going on when it comes to taking care of things, organizing things, and in general, running all of those things that you never even realized were a thing. Also, they make amazing travel companions. Also, sort of an unpopular idea, but in the vein of wanting to be honest, if you're a white guy coming here to the Philippines and you'll be dating, it's important to know that you are sort of the commodity. And by that I mean, for instance, imagine being in the US and you have a friend who has an Australian accent. You know that that accent is going to make him popular with the ladies. Here, it's very much the same, except replace accent with being out of the ordinary in another way. It's also important that I tell you to not take advantage. The ladies, and I assume also guys here as well, they have huge hearts. They have a lot of love to give. So don't be that white guy. Also, don't be that guy who just goes from girl to girl. That's just disgusting. Nobody likes you. Go away. So that's everything that I have to share. I hope that I've done it in the most tasteful way possible. And I hope that my Filipino friends in the comment section down below can help fill in any of the gaps that I may have left, either intentionally or unintentionally. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. If it has, let us know in the comment section down below. Till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those things that make me love my job. Also, be awesome to yourself and amazing to each other. Bye! Thank you so much for watching today's vlog. If you'd like to watch more content, that's on screen now. Also, if you'd like to support this channel, you can find a Patreon link at the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Next vlog?